Hi, hello. Uh, it's Aaron, funnily enough, because this is my channel. I'm here today to review The Edge of Destruction, which is my first classic review. Now, in case anyone here is like, new, I used to have a blog, and on that blog I did review a 18 classic stories, I want to say. So, a few, along with reviewing the first 2 seasons of Doctor Who and modern Doctor Who and the first season of Torchwood. But the problem I face is I'm going to have to re-review all of those because I'm not re-reviewing all content from that blog. However, as I want to continue doing Doctor Who content, I kind of have to re-review it to sort of, completionist in me. I want to make sure I've got it all on here. So, sorry that my eyes are quite dark. This is just the lighting that we're rolling with. I don't know why I'm stuttering a lot today. So, The Edge of Destruction. For the majority, actually probably all the classic stories I review this year that I've already reviewed, I'm not really going to have time to rewatch them because a lot of them are hours long. The war games, don't get me started. So I'm going to have to basically go off memory and, so I expect, especially this story review, to be quite short. So I can only apologise. To be fair, the rest of that, everyone like, this could be a short review. It always turns out to be just as long as my regular reviews. So The Edge of Destruction was the third serial in the first ever season of Doctor Who. And I'm reviewing it. Oh my goodness. And I'm reviewing it now because I don't know why. I basically randomly picked some stories, and because I have to do 3 this month rather than 2 that I'm probably going to do for most of the year, I would think, like 2 a month, 2 classic reviews a month, I was like, I'll pick the shortest one. So Edge of Destruction is only 2 parts, so it's only about 50 minutes, which is really short. It's so weird to think that's what, modern Who, that's the length, and most episodes, because the 50-minute thing wasn't introduced till Jodie Whittaker's era, were 45. So this story is longer than most modern stories, which is weird because I don't know, I feel like by the nature of the classic stories, especially the Hartnell and Troughton ones, they tend to go by a lot slower. Even this one feels really long to me, which I'm going to get onto. This is a weird story to watch. It's kind of unique. It's basically just set in the TARDIS. This story exists, if I remember correctly, because obviously seasons, like especially classic seasons, are quite long. However, when they greenlit Doctor Who and make it, they only have official make 13 episodes, make 13 25-minute episodes. And with An Unearthly Child and the Daleks, that gets you up to 11. So they were kind of we need another 2-part story, just to round out the first 13, I guess, in case it didn't, take off and got cancelled after that initial 13-episode run. So I think that's why, if perfectly honest, this episode's kind of nonsense. The whole plot is that a button gets stuck. So basically everything's gonna go to hell. It's weird, the story is almost non-existent. There's a lot of elements of oh, the TARDIS was trying to tell us something, and the TARDIS was trying to do this, and that's why everything was going weird, we were hurtling to the end, I do like how towards the end of the story, the lights get darker and darker, and it's kind of like the TARDIS is almost shutting itself off. That was kind of cool. This episode looked quite good, but because of the lack of new locations for a whole 50 minutes, and obviously it wasn't like Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS or the Doctor's wife, where they could go, here's a corridor, and here's this room, and here's that room. The character-wise, this is kind of a character episode. You get to see the interactions between everyone. I feel like the end of this story, I think it's quite a pivotal story, and that by the end of it, for the first time, the group are kind of an actual group. Like, for the most part, it'd been the Doctor and Susan, Barbara and Ian. There were some crossover moments, like in the Daleks, when Barbara agrees with the Doctor, basically, about let's just bugger off, you know, that kind of idea. But for the most part, they stayed quite separate. I think my favourite moment in this episode is the Doctor and Barbara at the end. I think that's my favourite moment, because the Doctor had been quite rude to all of them, you know, especially Barbara. So I want to shout out, like, the acting, because I think, you know, you have a lot of reputation of, like, oh, you know, William would, you know, mess up a lot of his lines and stutter, you know, that kind of thing. And, you know, he does that, even in early Doctor Who, like in the first couple serials, he still does that quite a lot. But him and Jacqueline Hill, they really smash that scene. Their acting in this story, like, all four of them in particular, is really good. But I think that last bit where they reconcile and they're sort of, I don't know, they have that little, I don't know, it's just so cute. And William Hartnell is such a cute, like, the first Doctor is such a cute character in a weird way. Like, he's quite grumpy and, you know, cranky, but sometimes he's just so adorable and he's so wholesome. And I feel like watching this episode is a good example, when it comes to just the characters and the actors, of why the first season was so popular. I think, and I feel like it's just I just gotta say it, like, they're by far one of the best, hardest teams Doctor Who's ever had. And I've only seen, sat down, properly pay attention to the whole thing. I've only seen an Unearthly Child. That's a really hard title to say. The Daleks and the Edge of Destruction, which I don't have on DVD behind me, actually. In fact, and, you know, although I'll go into it a bit more, obviously, when I review an Unearthly Child and the Daleks, the Edge of Destruction, with all the weirdness going on, but you notice I haven't talked about a lot of different elements because it's really hard to describe this story and, like, review it. But I think the only reason this story works is because of the acting. I don't know. It's a bizarre one. This review is going to be so short. I feel like the resolution that literally a button was stuck is really it's a bit underwhelming. But it, you know, what can you expect from a story that literally just served to fill the gap of 2 episodes? And they kind of had built up this drama of, you know, we're going to die, everything's going to be over. So nothing could really live up to that. Do I have anything else to say? I like the end, obviously, back the first season Doctor Who, at least, is basically serialized, at least the first half of season 1, because, you know, they all happen in a row. There aren't really any gaps, because the ending of this leads into Marco Polo, and it's quite a good one. I actually don't know, and I won't know, because, well, unless I listen to the audio version of Marco Polo, but obviously that is fully missing. I think it is. I think Marco Polo is fully missing, so I'm going to see that. Bit of a shame. Well, to be fair, actually, we are very lucky that we actually have the first 13 episodes of Doctor Who existing, like, around. I think we're quite lucky that we were able to watch the first 3 serials, like, in a row. You know, I won't even get into Pat. I mean, his era has just got so many holes in it. I'm thankful this was short. If this story had been like let's say 4 parts, like an Unearthly Child, unless they'd actually added, like, a threat, like a villain, like a sort of entity, and maybe they would have had to have some other location. Unless they'd done those things, this story would not have worked. Like, I feel there's moments where it gets a little bit tedious, but because you never know what's really going on, you're always a little bit like, okay, what's happening? But it's under the perfect length. I think 25 minutes would have been too short for this. They wouldn't have had time to build up the peril. They wouldn't have had time to finish it. Like, Jesus, if they kept the last scene with the Doctor and Barbara and then the teaser to Marco Polo, it would have been a 20-minute adventure. But even 3 parts, I think, would have been too long. would have been just too long. What will I give this story? Probably The Edge of Destruction. I'm going to give a 7 because it's like 7 is like good for me. It's good. It's a decent story. It's a bit weird. Again, it's good that this has a strong cast because that saves it. If the cast wasn't good, this would be a bad episode. But because it's so good, it's like, it's a 7. It's a decent one. Thanks for watching this more digestible little bite size. My next classic review will be next week, and it is The Claws of Axos. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review. My eyes are really dark.